Mill, if you could go back, in time to when you first started the full immersion program and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Believe that you can do it. That would be the one advice, because I remember when I started, my level of knowledge was so minimal, and you honestly don't know what you don't know. But looking back, and by no means am I an expert, far from it, but my level of fear in looking at code has diminished greatly.
Awesome. So you can do it. You can do it. Yeah, that's really good advice.
Yeah, can I add to that?
Well, Michael, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would tell myself, don't freak out when you watch this, because once you get to senior side, the instructors actually set you up for success, and you have everything at your resources. The teachers, the tutors, everything, and the documentation. I thought that was it set me up, even though I was still scared. But yeah.
That's great advice. I love it. Thank you, Michael. Andrew, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I think ultimately it would be to, man, I'm gonna hate saying this because that's a joke, but it would be just to trust the instructors. They ultimately, see you there perking up. Oh my goodness. Trust them. They know what they're talking about. And no matter how many times you tell yourself that you did something right, in my experience, you probably didn't do it right if it's not working out the way you wanted to. And that, it's ultimately, you have to trust that, they know what they're talking about, which they do. And, you're super new into it. And so that's, for me, like, there were so many times where I told myself, like, I swear, I promise, like, I did this correctly, but nothing's working. And if it's not working, then that means you didn't do it correctly. So I guess the corollary to that would be just to leave your pride at the door. It's a learning experience. It's something, for me especially, I've had almost zero experience coming into it with anything web development, coding related. And this program only works if you're willing to put that pride aside and to trust your instructors and to have an open mind.
Wow. We didn't stage this, by the way. Scott Bowler.
Yeah, the last thing I wanted to do is compliment Uzair.
Okay, thank you, Andrew. That was beautifully put. Daniel, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Well, I'm not going to have as much to say as Andrew, but just be confident, stay on this path. Just know that you're making the right decision, and don't be discouraged when things don't work out. I was really afraid of the idea of boot camps, because I had previous experiences with coding not working out so well, just being stuck on one thing for so many hours. But yeah, the instructors made things really easy to learn and easy to pick up.
Yeah. Well, and it turns out being stuck on something for multiple hours is part of it. Awesome advice. Thank you, Daniel. Okay. All right. Great job, Team HR Buddy. Your project came out fantastic. Your self-advice was amazing as well. Thank you so much. Next up is Team We Eat. We. Tia, if you could go back in time to the beginning of the full immersion program and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I was gonna say the same thing as what Andrew said. I'm gonna say that trust the instructors and also the program, because as a person who had a bit of exposure in the web development and computer science, I kind of had a doubt at the beginning of the bootcamp, but at the end I learned a lot, and also not only the new languages and then new skills, but also like I learned how to learn new stuff fast. And I also got to build a lot of cool projects with people and also get to like network and make web developer friends. So yeah, just trust the instructors and the program and trust yourself as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you. Very good advice, Tia. Connor, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say to ask more questions. There was times where I would, there was times where I'd be sitting there for like a couple hours, not knowing what I was doing. And then I just need to ask Cody more questions, specifically Cody, not Uzair.
Ask Cody more questions. Cody, are you ready? Are you ready for more questions?
Man, always, literally every question.
We like it. To us, it means you're alive. So it's reassuring for the instructors. Right, Scott?
It's literally our job. Like, we're literally paid to answer your questions. Like, everyone gets scared to ask us. You shouldn't be scared to ask us questions. That's why you're here.
I just want to say this cohort was particularly mean to me. Not everybody is like this. Okay.
No cohort ever likes you, dude. Don't lie. You're such a hard guy to like. I mean, you're kind of mean.
Ask more questions. That is very good advice, Connor. Sam, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Probably to just show up every day. Be prepared to learn. Don't be stubborn like me. It's like, I'm trying to make this code work, but it's not working. But yeah, just like know that you're making progress every day, and no matter how discouraging you may feel, it's like, damn, look at me from a month ago. I'm amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Props to Uzair, Cody, Scott, even you. Amazing work.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Sam. Much appreciated. Who's on the list here? Chris, if you could go back in time to the first day of the full immersion program and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say just continue reviewing previous materials diligently. I personally wish I would have done that, especially during the senior side, because I was thrown so much information, and then I had trouble weaving everything together until the very end when I started reviewing things, and it all the dots started connecting. So if I would review very diligently.
Yeah, that's awesome advice.
I also forgot to shout out the other Tim and Brett. Thank you. Y'all are amazing.
Yeah, you got it. All right, cool. Yeah, I love asking this question because it's always there's common things between what students say, but it's always pretty personal for people as well. Evelyn Pay, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Yeah, so my one piece of advice to myself would be not to put so much pressure on myself, because I'm prone to anxiety, and I'm kind of a perfectionist, so I think I just put too much like expectations on myself. And at first, especially during the beginning of senior side, it didn't click right away. And I was just like, I'm not sure how to connect these individual pieces. I understand how to do this individual part, but I don't understand how it all comes together. And you just have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with knowing that, oh, it will make sense eventually once you get to the projects and once you get to actually constructing things. But when you're learning, just try to understand what you're learning at that time and don't give yourself too much pressure.
Very good advice. Paul, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Always unmute yourself. No. Totally forgot now. No, don't compare yourself to anybody. Just keep pushing forward. You know, just don't compare yourself to anybody.
Yeah, that is. I'm actually quite frankly surprised that this is the first time that this has come up during our discussion here, because that's a theme that the instructors and I try to reinforce as much as possible. And there's a lot of reasons why you shouldn't compare yourself to other people. And they can be moral, or, you know, you could talk yourself, you know, don't psych yourself out. And there's all these like touchy-feely reasons not to compare yourself to others. But there's actually one other really practical reason not to compare yourself to others. And that is you're wasting time. Just do the thing you're supposed to do. And the other issue is that you're not a reliable source for your judgment on a comparison because you're a beginner. So, like, don't worry about it. It's not your problem.
You're running your own race.
Yeah.
Like, focus on where you're going, not what other people are doing. It's a huge waste of time. That's the best way I've heard it put, Tim.
Yeah. Well, I'm a pragmatist, right? Like, there's a lot of really good reasons not to compare yourself to others, and it's feeling like garbage is definitely not fun, and I don't wish it on anybody. But it's also a huge waste of time. Okay, so next up, Jamie, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Actually, it was just what you guys alluded to right now. Don't compare yourself to other people. Everyone learns things, everything clicks at a different pace for people. Just because you're not getting it right away does not mean you're not going to get it. You just got to spend time with it. Don't be so hard on yourself. I was super hard. My cohort was pretty bright. They were all pretty smart people. So you could tell that they were getting stuff pretty quick. So it was kind of discouraging at times, but just stay the course, take breaks, let your mind rest so you come back fresh and you're not in that tunnel vision of trying to figure something out. Yeah, that's about it. Everyone and everything else that everybody said previous too for advice. That was all really good advice.
Awesome. Thank you, Jamie. Matt, if you could go back in time and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
Mine is like Connor's. I was like a masochist with not answering questions and suffering. I don't think I've ever dropped so many F-bombs in my life since I started coding. And then, yeah, I just wish I asked questions sooner. And then I always had this fear that if my question was stupid or not. And I had that fear always made me not want to ask. So I would just always ask anyone but Uzair my question. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Man, Uzair, you're getting tore up this cohort. Okay, all right. Well, that concludes our presentations for cohort 720. They did a phenomenal job on their projects. You can tell that they learned a lot. You can tell there's a lot of personal growth there. I'm going to go ahead and release the class.